Welcome back to another episode of Beck the Vet. Here I got a special guest, a guy, my battle buddy, who we went to basic training together back in '98. My dog Antonio Crawley. Welcome to the podcast, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm
Good
doing
to
well.
see you, man. Been a
Yeah,
minute.
it's been a minute. Definitely. So what I like to do with my guests when I first started off is to get to know them. So my first question is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how do you think that helped uh, shape who you are today?
All right. Well, Antonio Crawley. I'm from a little small town in Virginia. It's called Cambridge. It's like small, man. They join so small on the map, man. Like two stoplights. You feel me? So, yeah. So, by me coming from a small town, joined the military. It was like it was kind of like a big thing. You know what I mean for me because I wanted to go to college at first, but I ended up having a daughter. So when I had the daughter, I had to like get my mind right, stay focused and everything. So joined the military, 26 years later, man, retired now, working for a team called the Army Pays and, loving life, man, for
All
the
right,
most
so
part, man.
you break up the military. So what made you decide to join the military?
I had family, man, family and friends, man. But both mostly it was like my aunts and uncle. But I had my uncle was probably the big reason. Man, I used to come home, used to be in the nicest cars, flashy. But when he sat down and talked to me about it, it actually told me it's a great way to get a skill if you're not going to college. Like where we from, a lot of people like move to Richmond and they get jobs, and all that. I just wanted to do a little something different. So joining the military was like an option. Plus, get college education and all that too. And it was a way for me to, figure out what I wanted to do and provide, get some type of structure.
Okay. What was your experience like at boot camp? Like I said, we went to basic training together. What was it like? And did you run into anybody from basic training during your military career?
Man, boot camp was wild. you know, boot camp was wild, man. We had some characters, man. It was some nights. It got a little touchy there for a minute. But at the end of the day, man, met good people from all different places, man. Met you, Cohen, Preston, and the funny thing you said somebody met when I was stationed in DC. Hey, Preston used to live right down the street from me, man. So we linked
Oh
up a couple
wow.
times and yeah, man. We still keep in contact. He doing good, man. So
Hey, send
yeah.
Preston the podcast link. Let him know. I'll bring him on here. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, man. Preston, I let him know, man.
I
You know what I'm
actually got
saying? I let him know.
Mike Wright. He coming on July 5th. And during my
Yeah.
military career, I ran into, you remember PFC Leach?
Yeah.
I ran into her in
Man.
Hawaii. So yeah, man, it's been
Oh, and I ran into Cohen deployed, man, in Kuwait, man. It was crazy. I rolled up on him like, but Cohen was Cohen, man. But yeah, he was doing good though. So at the end of the day, it was a couple of people. And Kalisha. Kalisha,
she was the squad
her
leader.
last name was Leash. Yeah,
Yeah.
her last name was Leash too. And yeah, like so we used to keep in contact. Still do, she retired. She switched to the officer side.
Ah,
So she
okay.
like a RN. She was a RN. She doing
Okay.
good though,
I,
doing
I love
good.
to bring the basic training family onto the podcast. So if you still keep in
Yeah.
contact with a few, send them the link.
All right. I got you. I got you. I got you.
So do you remember your first duty station and what was your initial impression when you got there?
Man, Fort Bragg, aka, Fayetteville, Fayetteville, what they call it, right? But well, one thing, a good thing about for me for Vietnam, it was Fayetteville, it was Bragg was my uncle was already there. He was a sergeant major there. So my first experience there, dealing, with the people, trying to I felt like Bragg was like that place, they called it the center of the universe, it was like that place where everybody, had like this I don't know, like this type of awe with them, and it was a little different for me to get used to, but I met a couple guys, and we definitely clicked up, and we kind of definitely did our thing and made it easier, But for me, the struggle was being away from my daughter, so trying to commute back and forth, and plus mission, getting deployed and all that, But Fairville, I said Fairville definitely
That was it.
Got my structure. Yeah,
I would
yeah,
say
got the structure. Yeah, yeah.
Fayetteville is where my kids were born, and that's where I
Oh,
also
okay.
was deployed. That was my first
Yeah,
deployment with a unit. Was out of
man.
Fort Bragg.
Yeah, man. I was there for 2 years, and I think I spent a total of probably like 6 months there. You know what I mean? And it was like in pieces. Like we was always going like TDY here for exercise in the field, deployed. You know, we was always going. You know, somewhere. So my first experience at Bragg was little little touch and go, but I mean, I got used to it though. It kind of set the tone for my military career.
All right, that's I was going to go into that next because I wanted to know what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in your military career.
I think honestly, you got so many different leadership styles. You got some different, people. You got the people I felt like, that always felt like they had to prove something, and then you had the people who really like genuine want to try to look out for you and the best for you or whatever. So my challenge was, trying to filter out and don't realize like you try not to take that bad and just be like I'm just gonna give up on this, I'm out of here, this down and the third, because at one time I was just like I'm getting out, I'm getting out the military, I'm gone, this is it, man, I can't deal with this, man, because there's a lot of I hate to say it like this, but a lot of fakeness and a lot of everybody want to be a tough guy or a tough woman, is that wasn't for me, like let's come and do a job, let's do what we need to do. But I understand discipline, but some stuff was just like overrated.
All right, not a problem. What was your job in the military, and where did you retire as far as your rank?
Oh, so I was supply. So supply was my job, and I retired as first sergeant out of the old guard in Fort Myers. So, that was a great experience too. So
All right. So, what accomplishments are you most proud of during your military career?
whew, yeah, when you told me that question, man, it's gotta be my first on position, man. Like I always say I wanted to be a first one. I first saw like that first when we was at boot camp, and I can't think his name, but I just know he was a Caucasian guy. Came out there, he was just a yelling and yelling at the drill sergeant, yelling at everybody. I was like, oh yeah, that's it. Everybody else probably was thinking about being the drill sergeant. I was like, nah, I want to be that guy right there. That's the guy I wanted to be. But I think I realized like going through, I wanted to be a different type of first sergeant, not the one that goes out there and yelling, but I want the one that actually molds soldiers and understand you can be who you are, but at the same time, you gotta understand the difference between military life and civilian life. You gotta find your balance, and I always speak balance in two worlds, because that's what it really is. You can look at the military being way of life or structure or however you do it, but you still got to find a balance, because we require you to do a lot. But at the same time, your family require you to do a lot. So how you find that balance and, have that work-life balance everybody talk about.
All right. So, what do you enjoy doing now that you are retired?
Whew, man, first of all, waking up and working out when I want to work out, what I mean? You ain't got to worry about no PT formations and stuff like that. But I really like one thing I took from I like helping soldiers. So, the job I work with right now is kind of like helping soldiers when they get out, just find jobs. So, but mostly, man, just be able to travel, spend more time with my kids, my son, gave me a grandbaby, so I have a grandbaby. So it's been a ride, man. It's been a good experience. So happy to be retired, working on my 2 years. So good times.
Nice, nice, nice. Grandpa. So, what's that
Grandpa.
fun? What's the fun or random fact about you that most people don't know?
Oh man, a lot of people don't know. I used to be in a band when I was in high school, man. Like I was a big athlete, man. I actually stopped playing football to stay in the band, man. I stopped playing football and just strictly, I played basketball. So, we used to hoop where we was at though. But, I played basketball, but like being in the band, a lot of people don't know. I used to be rocking them drums, man.
Oh,
What I mean?
drums.
Drums was my
Okay.
thing, man. Yeah, man. I was a little nice. I could still do a little 1-2 thing, if it need to be.
Understand that. Understand that. We're gonna get into your military duties, Leadership and responsibilities. So, did you deploy during your military career? And if so, what was that experience like, and where was it at?
Deployed, yes. Iraq, Kuwait, Afghanistan. My experience, each one was different. Kuwait was more, a little chiller. Not I'm not gonna say chill, but it wasn't as intense. But it was a great, great experience. Iraq was a little different because of, we was at the airport. So, my experience there was a little bit different. But Afghanistan was like that was the one. That was the one that was kind of like, you know, my experience at in Afghanistan is probably like the one that just made me, realize, life is so short. You know what I'm saying? And one minute you can see somebody, the next minute, you don't see them no more. And me being there and working with logistics, I end up being on the mortuary affairs team. So that was kind of tough. It was some people that we used to talk in the tents, laugh, be a defect, see him at the gym, running around installation. And now you realize, only thing you got now is like a picture and a photo, and they're calling him a hero. He or her was a hero. So that just made me, realize that, you got to take advantage of like why you here, why you here, you know, do everything you want to do, and enjoy life while you can, because it could get taken from you like in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Can you share a memorable story from your deployment or overseas assignment?
Ah, well, one good one was like just the camaraderie, man. Like we used to like sit and we had this his name was Chief Bell, and he used to drop knowledge on us, man. And I think there is where I realized like the turning point in my career, what I really, really, really wanted to do, and just the conversations we used to have late at night. We used to talk about the stock market. We used to talk about, like what was going on in the world. We used to talk about where we was at. We talk about sports. We just talk about the, so many different things. So I think those late nights in the support operation, like we just had a really really good conversation that really was positive conversation, and there was so many different people who some people you didn't really know that they had this knowledge, and it was like just spilling on you. It got me into stocks. You know what I'm saying? Like Afghanistan got me into stocks. And was able to make a little bit come up on some stocks, and that was like probably one of the best moments. And bad moments, it was just those nights where you get that call or get that tap on your shoulder and telling you got to go to the flight line, because you already know when I knew I was going to the flight line, it wasn't like a positive thing. So but yeah,
What advice would you give to someone considering joining the military?
man, join the military um definitely figure out like if you have like if you're coming out of college, and you have a degree, try to get something that you can actually add to your degree, or something that can be like super positive um input for you and your family, something that you can see yourself enjoying. But I would tell you, like, they gotta just realize it's like the military is different. The army is totally different, probably any organization. You can look at it as a Fortune 500 or whatever you want to look at it, but it's gonna run different for the simple fact that you're gonna do some things that you just never probably really thought you would really be doing in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you gotta realize. Like, you can say, "Oh, I played on a football team or whatever. I did football team, got smoke, all that stuff." But that's a different type. That's a different type of structure. You know what I mean? But just realize though, like you can pick up so many different skills that can build you. For later on in your future, and lucky for that. I'm at a point where in my life I really appreciate everything the military gave it to me. So it was I can't say I hated it, what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's a good time.
It shaped you, and those experiences made you who you are today. So definitely, absolutely. So my last section, I like to talk about your future plans and reflect a little bit. So if you could go back in time and give your younger self any advice or one piece of advice, what would that be?
Start. if you want to get an education, start in the education early. Don't wait. You know what I mean? Jump on the advantages that the army, the military just give you, period. Like, really, like, jump on it because the simple fact is that, you know, I wish I had jumped on it early than later in life. And the second thing is invest like invest, man, like investment, like if you invest so early and you get that to do, do the military savings thing, put stuff in there, put, just invest, different investment. If you don't want to use what the military have, find some investment that you can use and just invest, man, invest, definitely.
All right. And also looking back, what assignment was your favorite and why?
I got two.
Okay.
Myers being the first one was definitely my favorite, one of my favorite. But actually being equal opportunity advisor, that was like one of my favorite too. I did that at Fort Lee, and just to, I learned a lot. I learned about myself first, and all my what we call unzipping your bag. You got your bag and you have your bag wide open. We all have stereotypes. We all have like perceptions and stuff. But being an equal opportunity advisor gave me the chance to like just be neutral and actually hear people. Actually listen to people from different backgrounds. I learned so many about so many different religions and just people, period, and how people talk. And that school is probably like the best school I probably ever been to, but at the same time, mentally the most challenging. And so I mean, those are my two favorite positions, though.
All right. What have you enjoyed most about the transition to civilian life?
More money, man. Oh man, hey, I ain't even gonna lie though.
Won't argue.
Like
Won't argue with you.
I do your time, and honestly, when you start knowing that you got a retirement, you invested in yourself, so you got retirement. If you have disability, you have disability. But I think money. But honestly, I think just I enjoy just being able to like somebody might ask me a question about the military and just actually just share my experience, and like even where I work right now, it's a great way for me to share experience, and I still work around soldiers now too, though. They think I never wanted to, but I ain't doing it. But the opportunity came, and it was something when I can help people, and I jumped on it though.
Got you. Got you. So we talked about your best assignment. So what was the most challenging assignment you had?
Um, it was definitely my most challenges when I got deployed to Afghanistan, though. Like, I came straight from recruiting to Hawaii, got to Hawaii, and I got to Hawaii in January and deployed in like March.
Mm.
Like, it was like quick. It happened fast, And at the time I was married, so I had my son, wife, trying to get him established, his school, trying to spend a little bit of time, and then, picking up all my gear and then about to get head out the door. It was a challenge on me because I'm taking them away, miles away from their family to whatever. And it kind of, I just got bumped up because of somebody else that couldn't deploy at the time. So I got bumped up. So, and had to go over and take care of some things. And then when I got to Afghanistan, it got rocking and popping right on the spot. It wasn't like less than 48 hours there and it was already on. So it was kind of rough.
So do
Yeah.
you have any goals or projects that you're working on right now? Or you have anything going on for the future?
Oh yeah. So right now I'm currently working on my master's. So, like four classes away from that. So, that's why I said,
What
at my
school?
age now.
What school
Oh,
you the degree in?
Post University. I got my bachelor's from Post and I got my I'm getting my master's from Post University. They out of Connecticut, great school. If you're in the military right now, Post University, very, 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 very good school. Recommend it to anybody. Um, got a foundation that I'm part of called Hope and Healing Foundation. It's was started by Devonna Talley and her husband Kevin Talley. You know, he's on there too. So you know, they gave me an opportunity. Always wanted to do something about giving back to like where I'm from, or just the community in Richmond and Petersburg and the area I am. You know, it could definitely, you know, people can always use help, you know, and you know, it's rough out here, and I understand the struggle. So I'm at a position in my life that I'm able to try to give back a little bit. So I always just, you know, love doing that. So I'm part of that nonprofit. Um, Working with the Army Pays team. Army Pays team, well, it's a definitely it's a program that's been around for 25 years. You know, we're working on our 26th in October. And what it does is help soldiers getting out the military, get interviews with like different companies and stuff. So right now we form partnerships with like Amazon, American Airlines, Delta. Um, got Disney. You know, so we got Fortune 500. We got small companies, you know, like 7-Eleven. You know, your local might be mom and small business type deals, but they at least got to have like 250 employees. But it gives you guaranteed 5 interviews coming out, and all we ask is people just to go in there, register. You do a little like a little resume on the website, and then when you get close to about to get out the military, um, you can actually start asking, you know, applying for those positions. You only get 5, and you apply for those 5 positions, and then it's guaranteed you like 5 interviews. Now, in the interview, we don't say hires now. We give you the interviews now. You got to get yourself hired yourself now, you know, but, you know, proud of it. And we really trying to build it. A lot of people don't know about it. So that's the biggest challenge that we having right now. You know, a lot of people don't know it. And I'm just saying, like, a lot of soldiers don't know it. I didn't know about it coming out, you know, and got the opportunity because of the company and my recruiting background, got the opportunity to join the team. So I'm the project lead of the team. And
Nice.
it's, you know, so we definitely trying to get the word out there, trying to make it a bigger and better, and trying to definitely most thing about it is just trying to help soldiers make
That's
that transition a little bit smoother, you
That
know.
actually goes into my next question. If you want to give out the social media site for that company and also the nonprofit that you talked about, the Hope one,
Hmm.
give them the website, have them fill out the
Yeah.
information. I'll bring them on my platform so they can talk about their nonprofit. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and you know, like I was saying, Kevin Talley, he's a former National Guard, but he did like most of the stuff he did full time, you know, so he can it's somebody you can talk to, but it's Hope and Healing, and we definitely on Instagram, Facebook, definitely check us out. And then Army Page, you know, it's like www.armypage.com. Go on there. Um, Definitely go check us out. I mean, you have any questions, our numbers and everything is on there, just like the Hope and Healing is ran by Devonna Talley. So she's a wonderful person, you know. Definitely want to just give back and yeah, come on, holler at us, follow us on social media, follows us on all these platforms like Army Page. We on all the platforms: Instagram, Facebook. We even on uh LinkedIn. We got a Twitter page. You know, just hey, look us up. You know, you got any questions? Definitely, you know, I'm on the page. When you go to the page, you can click on our numbers or our emails, and we'll definitely get back with you if you have any questions or concern.
All right, sounds good. Well, I appreciate that, bro. I definitely appreciate you coming on the platform. This is Antonio Crawley, and I am Beck the Vet as I continue to try to honor the past, build the future, and of course, serve the now. Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Man, thank you, man.